In this video, we'll take a look at the Instrument Tracks and Macros tab in the Command section of the Studio One remote. We can add an empty instrument track, and we can also insert an empty instrument part that will insert a blank part for the duration of our locators. We can also scroll through Studio One instrument presets with the previous and next preset buttons. Duplicate will add an empty instrument track routed to our current instrument. If we wanted to, for example, program our MIDI hi-hats, kick drum, and snare drums for one virtual drum kit on multiple instrument tracks, this is a quick and easy way to set those up. We can move back and forth in small increments with the back and insert rest buttons. Duplicate Complete will duplicate all settings of your current virtual instrument track, including instantiating a new instrument and copying all data from the original track to the new track. We can, of course, remove a track with the Remove Track button, and we can remove part automation such as sustain messages, pitch bend control data, aftertouch, etc. We can transpose instrument tracks in increments of semitones with the Transpose Instrument Tracks button. And we can quickly access one of my favorite features in Studio One, the Transform to Audio Track function with the Transform to Audio Track button here. If we have any note effects on our virtual instrument tracks, Render Instrument Tracks will print those effects into the MIDI file. For example, if we have the repeater effect inserted onto one long continuous note and render it, that'll result in individual MIDI notes according to our settings in the repeater effect. We can export any of our parts as a music loop. A music loop consists of everything required to recreate a musical performance, including the virtual instrument preset, multi-channel effects chain presets for the virtual instrument outputs, the music performance file, and an audio loop. In other words, if you created a unique sound with, say, an instance of Omnisphere, and recorded a musical part that you want to share with a fellow composer, exporting your part as a music loop will allow your fellow Persona Studio One user to import that single music loop file in order to recall your exact settings in Omnisphere and all of your musical data on that track, provided, of course, that they have that version of Omnisphere installed on their workstation already. This is a huge time saver and a great way to be able to send multiple files back and forth with all relevant data and not need to export individual instrument presets along with your MIDI information. And the All Notes Off button ceases all MIDI notes from playing during playback. For example, if you had an arpeggiator sustained and you wanted to instantly silence all of those notes, the All Notes Off button will instantly mute playback of all MIDI notes. And lastly, we have our Macros tab. Macros string together multiple commands to form a single action. For example, you might want a way to quickly select multiple events across multiple tracks within a loop range and merge them to form single continuous events. This would normally involve a number of separate actions, either with a mouse or keyboard. But creating a macro for this reduces the process to a single action, which now we can access through the Studio One remote. There are a bunch of custom macros already installed on the Studio One remote. By default, they're named very clearly and include, for example, create new track with 5 layers, which will add one new audio track and instantly add 5 layers to it for vocal comping, for example. You can split all tracks at markers set in the project. You can set the length of all MIDI notes on a region or track to 16th notes. And you can copy any selected regions to a new layer or a new track. These are just some of the macros that come by default laid out in the Macros tab, but there are a whole lot more that are available and that we can configure. In the next video, we'll take a look at how to do that.